Burma. The very name conjures up images of golden stupas, shining white temples, and smiling, friendly people. But there are people experiencing difficult times. For most, life is a struggle, their political and economic plight, draining them of almost everything except their need to survive. This is a film about Burma, now called Myanmar, and its people. I've been coming here since 1997, many times, and it seems like while the whole world changes at a pace, Burma is left in a time warp that has changed little outside of Rangoon and Mandalay. Daily life is still influenced by old values and cultural traditions that at least give a sense of stability and belonging to a people who live under a despotic military regime that is the very antithesis of these old values. Life in rural areas remains relatively unchanged. In fact, there's probably a subconscious resistance to change, because the old ways provide a sense of security in an environment of uncertainty and where fear rules. Needless to say, this underlying mindset, coupled with the extreme poverty, are great inhibitors when it comes to seeking change. But the quest for freedom goes on, inevitably a slow process. But the people deserve better, and I believe things are changing. So what about this land? Rudyard Kipling said, "This is Burma. It will be quite unlike any land you know about." Any visitor to Burma will be amazed by the sheer wonder of the place. It has a special atmosphere of beauty and history, and is filled with unusual and fascinating sights. Mystical, magical, and outrageously picturesque. These are words used in attempts to describe this amazing land. They are no exaggeration. Come with me, deep into remote areas, and get an insight into this fascinating nation. This is not a film about the politics of this nation. I'll leave that to people who know better than I. It's about an amazing land and a very special people.
So we're on Inle Lake and gonna have the rest of today. It's 11 o'clock. We'll enjoy the rest of the day and the beautiful sunshine and the beautiful lake. Looking forward to it.
I'm starting here because it plunges us right into the middle of the country. And it's a destination like nowhere else on earth. I have to say, this place makes a profound impression upon the visitor. A few years ago, I enjoyed a cup of coffee after breakfast here one morning with Vanessa Courtney, who produced Michael Paling's Himalaya. The topic of conversation mainly being, "This place is amazing. no roads, no cars, a totally different way of life, and wonderful people. Though the boat is noisy, it takes us for a trip through Wonderland.
Well, we arrived fine at the hotel. It's a nice room, very nice hotel. We thought we would just go out and we're not going to have a full meal, but just maybe have a snack, place where we normally go. This lake on a boat here with the nice warm sunshine, breeze in your face. It's just really nice, relaxing place.
Inle Lake is a freshwater lake located in Shan State, north of Rangoon and to the east of Mandalay. It's the second largest lake in Myanmar, with a surface area of over 40 square miles and an altitude of 2,900 feet, which makes it pleasant most of the time. The Intha, or people of the lake, number around 70,000 and live in 4 towns on the edge of the lake, in numerous small villages along the lake's shores, and many on the lake itself. Most of them live in simple wooden houses on stilts and earn their living from the land and lake. Their devotion to Buddhism is clear, even in the villages, with the iconic golden stupas prominent amidst ramshackled wooden houses, many with thatched roofs, but some having zinc sheeting. Transportation on the lake is traditionally by small boats, but as we sit having lunch and watching the world go by, one notices that most of the boats going by have outboard motors. The upside of this for us is that we can travel at a reasonable 6 or 8 miles an hour, feel the wind in our faces, keep cool, and be able to see more. In the meantime, we watch the longboats like plumed cockerels chasing through the village, their heads held high as though proud of their plumes, but with shrieking and turbulence that disturbs old ways. Occasionally we pass through a town. Under the bridges, numerous small hotels, and in the midst of rickety wooden buildings, there emerges the inevitable, magnificent pagoda, giving the same impression to the viewer that great British cathedrals would no doubt have given in the Middle Ages. Wow, who built this? But time to be a dryland tourist. Being on terra firma does make shooting easier. And yes, those wonderful people, especially the children, they're a real blessing. This brother and sister even spoke a little English. It's certainly a photogenic place. The warm colors of the pagoda in contrast to the blue sky and water. Inside there are 5 images of Buddha. The devotees can add a layer of gold leaf to them if they wish, but only men are allowed to do this. Because of the practice, the images are now unrecognizable as Buddhas. So we continue our odyssey. Another tourist attraction are the Padang People, a Shan word which literally means long neck. Traditionally, women wore neck rings, but this practice has generally decreased in recent times. The majority of women no longer wearing them. I'm thus torn between thinking these people are using it as a gimmick to make a living, or thanking them for creating this authentic cultural museum in situ to keep alive their traditions and allow the world a glimpse. There were very nice people here, using traditional weaving methods and selling their creations. They showed me the neck rings and explained to me the difficulty of sleeping in them. Once on, they stay on for several years, increasing in length each time they're changed. They cost about $200 US.
This actually is very heavy. It weighs 3 kilos.
The impression they gave me was that they were proud of their culture. This is a must-visit place. The only way to get around is by boat. To hire by the day is best. They carry 4 to 6 people and relatively cheap. Though with the onset of tourism, the price has multiplied. Seats are comfortable, but a hat is a necessity. If possible, attached in some way to prevent it joining your mind on the trip and being blown away. The drivers take an interesting tour of the lake, taking in the scenic sights, the interesting places. Don't be surprised in the middle of this remote rural area to come across a multitude of gold and white stupas reaching for the sky, the culture, as it were, painted onto the scenery. It communicates who these people are. So here I am, being treated to a kaleidoscope of images as I relax with camera in hand, feet up, enjoying life. This is a great place to visit. The light making images come alive. The fishermen at work. The unique contraption used to fish is puzzling, to say the least. He seems to drop the cage onto the lake bed, 6 feet or so below, which is covered by weeds, in which apparently the fish hide. He then uses his pronged spear to spear the fish, or maybe disturb them, to make them emerge from their hiding place and into the net. He then lifts out the contraption and collects the trapped fish. Even the tourist traps are unlike those found in most places. They tended to be fascinating places that gave much insight into life on the lake. The lake to some extent is self-sufficient. One would expect it to be importing metal tools, for instance, but the converse is true. They export. Nowadays, some workshops are open to visitors who can view the whole process. Not automated, the old ways, the ancient methods used by their forebears and handed down, but fascinating in the middle of a lake The furnace roars, the hammers in perfect time cooperate to create. An urgency to strike while the iron's hot, a necessity to play one's part, a dependency upon my fellow worker. Fantastic.